Did you know that the UK is actually home to some pretty wild and exotic animals, things like wallabies and exotic snakes, which are far from their homes but are finding ways to survive here? Well, that's right. Here in the UK, you actually stand a chance of bumping into things like wallabies bouncing through our countryside, where they should be in places like Australia. But what about the other animals that are here? And so today, I'm going to be talking about 3 different animals that can be found living here in the UK countryside. So make sure to sit back and relax, and let's learn some facts about the animals that shouldn't really be living here but are finding ways to do so. And to kick off this list, number 1 is going to be the redneck wallaby, an animal native to the other side of the world, but is finding a home here in the UK. And while the odd wallaby can be spotted living wild and free across many parts of the UK, there is one population that's going strong to this day, and it's hidden away on an island in the Highlands of Scotland, and that's Inchconnecan in Loch Lomond. Now, this population of wallabies, just like all the others that can be found here in the UK, started off as someone's pet that escaped, or in this case were released, with them being brought over to the island in the 1940s by Fiona Gore, who was the owner at the time. And sadly, since then, Fiona has passed away, but the wallabies have continued to thrive on the island, continuing her legacy on Inchconnecan. And luckily they're having no negative impacts on our native species here in the UK, with them feeding on the dense vegetation of the island, and with there being no other large herbivorous mammals on the island, it means that they're taking over a niche that was previously unfilled on the island. And luckily for them, there's no natural predators on the island, meaning that it's an absolute paradise for them to live in. So next time you're up in Scotland, why not keep an eye out for these out-of-place Aussies? And number 2 on the list is going to be the ringneck parakeet, a bright green noisy bird that's taking over many of our urban areas here in the UK. Now, just like the wallabies, these guys have ended up here after being either escapees or people releasing their pets over the years, with them being perhaps a little bit more successful than the wallabies, with them being here in much larger numbers. And with these parakeets having a native range stretching from across Africa all the way up to the Himalayas, they're highly adaptable to a whole range of different habitats, which makes them well suited to the UK's climate. Now sadly, these guys can be quite negative to our native species, with them especially impacting bird species that nest in hollows in trees like this one, with species like woodpeckers and nuthatches being affected by them the most. However, at the moment, experts seem to suggest that their population, at the number it is right now, isn't having too much of an impact, and that there's plenty of nesting spaces to go around for all of them. And these guys have been extremely successful in our urban areas, especially places like London, where people will go to the parks to feed them by hand, like in this clip here, meaning that we're basically providing them with a free buffet all year round. And with the parks of our cities having many different varieties of fruit and nut trees, it means that they're easily able to forage for wild foods too in our urban areas. So I'm sure that next time you're in a place like London and you keep an ear out for something really loud and squawking, you're probably going to come across one of these bright green beautiful birds. And now, last but definitely not least on the list is going to be the unarmed stick insect, an animal that's a master of camouflage and could be anywhere around me right now, but mostly it's found in our gardens down here in Cornwall and Devon. Now, like I just mentioned, they can be mostly found in people's gardens down here in the southwest of the UK, where they arrived on shipments of plants from New Zealand, where they're originally native from, with things like tree ferns being brought over in the 1920s to make people's gardens look exotic. And while we actually have 3 different species of stick insects that are all from New Zealand that can be found here in the southwest, the unarmed stick insect has become the most successful and widespread of the 3. And with them feeding on really common plant species, like here in the video where you can see it feeding on bramble, it means that food is widely available for them in both our gardens and our wild spaces, meaning that they're really successful here in the UK. And another massive reason for their success here is the fact that they're parthenogenetic, which means that they don't actually need a male to be able to fertilise their eggs, which means that a single stick insect will be able to start a whole population from wherever it is. And because of the fact that they're able to just lay eggs wherever and whenever, it means that their population is definitely huge here in the southwest, although it's currently actually unknown. But because of the fact that they feed on such common plant species here, it means that they're actually having no negative impacts on our native species, and might even be providing a food source for things like birds. So there we have it. Wallabies, parakeets and stick insects living wild here in the UK. Now, hopefully you enjoyed today's video and learned a little bit more about the exotic animals that are hiding away in the UK's countryside. And if you did, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Maybe even share the video with a friend who might want to learn a bit more about the hidden animals here in the UK. But for now, it's going to sadly be it. So I'll see you in the next video, and hopefully it'll be another glorious day like this one. So I'll see you next time.